umbrella, your shower cap. It's not yet time to discard of those until the dry season is fully out.
All right, so that's from Chisom, and then let's get to hear from the in-house analyst, Dr. Tony Olisa Mbeki. Good morning, Tony, and thank you for joining this conversation.
Good morning, Franklin and Ebuka. Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, the good people of Southeast. Good morning, Indianambra. Good morning, Onitsha. Good morning, everyone under the reach of our voice. We are back in our sanctuary to do the works of the Lord. It's the Lord's doing, and that's why we are here. The Lord's vineyard. So we are here to do justice to some developing stories. Sit back and enjoy your time. And remember, we'll give you nothing but a premium best. That's what we're going to give you here. Say good morning to God Almighty for making everything possible. And then making sure that we are here also. Is a blessing for us.
Okay, so I must tell you that, of course, many things have happened in the past 24 hours in Nigeria. Here in Anambra State, of course, the governor of Anambra State was in Ogidi, Anambra State, where we recorded the flooding that got many people talking. And over there, he made a promise that he's going to address that very perennial flooding we normally have around that Ukwoje, on that very old Enugu Onitsha road. And guess what? I don't know whether whether it was a political thing that happened yesterday, because when I called some members of the APC yesterday in the evening, they told me that they were at Ukwoje, trying to see what is happening there regarding the flooding. Then later I got to know that governor was also there. I know that there was an event held in honor of the governor of Anambra State. So now that governor has made a statement in that very respect, let's see what's going to happen. If that is going to be addressed in the nearest future, or whether that is going to continue. Then we talked about I gave a hint yesterday about the body of the woman who was swept away in Nnewi that was recovered. Quite a sad one. So it's quite unfortunate that downpour on Tuesday left it a sad tale or sour taste in our mouth. Chisom.
It's really sad. I saw the video. The woman at the point that she was rescued. I mean, I couldn't even bring myself to. Oh, it's really sad. To think that I read somewhere that she left her car and went somewhere to take shelter, and somehow got carried by the water. I don't know. Life is just really scary. I mean, if anyone had told her that it would have been safer to stay inside her car, maybe. But imagine where she was looking out for if a safer option, and she got into the trap of death. It's really a very sad development. Anambra State is one of the states that is grossly affected by the weather. I mean, look at the fact that we house, if not the highest erosion sites in Nigeria, and so all of these are probably occasioned not only by the rain, but the rain would always make it worse. And so we really need a lot to be done in terms of ecological would I call it, with ecological funds, and of course probably the federal government and international organizations coming to our aid. We need to do a lot to take care of the erosion sites, also prevent instances like this from happening, probably by covering drainages as much as possible. Maybe not all drainages can be covered, but we need to cover as much as we can, because I recall sometime, I don't know if it was last year, a vehicle also fell into a very large open gutter here in Anambra State, and all the occupants of that vehicle eventually died. As a matter of fact, it was caused by the rain, right? So we really need to do a lot to make sure that we reduce the chances of eventualities that come once the rain touches the face of the earth.
All right. So Nnewi and the Ogidi seem to have gotten the much attention. I also learned that there was also flooding in Obaro. Some communities in Obaro were flooded, where their farmlands were, submerged, and even some buildings and churches also submerged. And I learned that one tricycle rider survived, possible there because him and some other persons who were riding a tricycle, trying to drive against the flood. And by the time the current in the flood tried to overpower them, they had to, fight for their lives. And of course, they survived. But I think that was yesterday that the tricycle was recovered, where it was mangled by, the heaviness of that very flood. So we're hoping that we do what's supposed to do as people, and then on the side of government gets to respond and do what it's supposed to do, so that when floods come this very way, of course, they're not going to find their ways into different homes where they wreak havoc and destroy the household items. So, talking about other things that have developed in the country, of course, today is going to be Council of State meeting. It's going to begin by 1 p.m. in Abuja. And of course, we expect all those who have been invited to be there. And the one thing that people are saying that in my future is the issue appointment of a new INEC chairman who is going to replace Yakubu. So by the end of the day, we're going to know whether that comes up or not. Then Dasu Wahala is not leaving anytime soon, because ASU has been dragging the federal government, and government has been begging, saying give us some time for us to address what your grievances are. Then more governors are expected to defect into APC today, and APC is saying that we are ready to have them come in, the likes of Eno of Akwa Ibom State and the Peter Mbofo Enugu State. Of course, we are expecting that they're going to formalize their defection to this very party. And yesterday, Senator Chukwu of Enugu formally left Labour Party to move to the APC. And if you look at numbers now, you see that APC is now in the overwhelming majority, that whatever they want to do in the House, they can completely do that without any contribution from any of the opposition parties. Then what do you make about the suspension of the tinted glass permitted by the police? Yesterday, NBA went to the police for them to have a meeting in Abuja, and they had a meeting. After the meeting, police said in as much as there is no valid court order stopping them from doing that, but in the spirit of camaraderie, they are going to suspend the enforcement, give some time before they come back to it. So we have seen several things that happen, and somewhere in far away United States of America, a US senator is dragging Nigeria like a tiger generator on issue of genocide against Christians. And of course, Nigerian government is not resting, because the government has been rattled. That's why we have seen the presidency and the federal legislature responding to that yesterday. We're going to see some of this very development by the time we begin to look at the issues we have this very morning. So you can see that the headlines are packed, and we urge you to stay with us as we begin today's conversation by looking at the headlines in various newspapers. Stay with us.
You're listening to The Polity. Get involved now.
Okay, don't forget that we are live on our Facebook page, Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Get involved on that very page. You can watch the video and at the same time drop your comment on any of the issues that you fancy to comment on. We're also live on our Instagram and YouTube channels, Udala Radio. And then for YouTube, you can subscribe to the channel at no cost. Just subscribe so that each time we post a video, you'll be able to get a notification. So let's get to the headlines this very morning. We are beginning with the headlines on Vanguard newspaper. The banner headline says, new INEC chair for Council of State preview today. The story is on page 5. You can see riders here. Tinubu to present nominee at today's meeting. Amupito in top contention, screened. President in firm control of nomination process. How politicians try to force choice of nominee. APC chairman's institutional impute. This is the top story on the front page of Vanguard newspaper. Then you can see a picture story that says at World Ports Conference. You can see the picture of the three men there. Then another headline says court orders arrest of ex-INEC chairman Mahmoud Yakubu for contempt. The story is on page 24. Maybe that song that was sung by Orishe Femi, Double Wahala for the body. I don't know whether that needs to be sung now. And then another headline says alleged genocide, Christian lives, not statistics, can tells FG. The story is on page 7. NESG, global order losing empathy. Nigeria must produce for itself. Edun, the coordinating minister of the economy. The story is on page 15. On the sports column, Lesotho versus Nigeria, no panic in Super Eagles camp. A delay, and unfortunately, our under 17 crashed out yesterday in the under 17 World Cup going on in Chile, where they were whitewashed by Argentina 4-0. Then another headline we have on the front page of Vanguard says alleged terrorism, NMA reports stalls Nnamdi Kanu's trial. Check page 11 of Vanguard newspaper. Defection of senators, Ababio Moro in war of words. The story is on page 26, and I must say that the war of words will continue until we get to address those gaps we have in our constitution, because what we have now is that if a lawmaker defects from one party to the other, provided there's no division in his party, it rests on the Senate president to declare the seat vacant. So if he has that very power to do so, and his party is favored, do you think he's going to do that? Okay, then we'll go to another headline that says 139 million Nigerians living in poverty despite reform gains, World Bank. The story is on page 19. Senate summons Defense Minister, COS, IGP over insecurity in Kwara State is on page 8. My resignation, not admission of guilt, Najid. The story is on page 9. I support 80% of Tinubu's reforms, Brett Sanusi. The story is on page 8. The question is, what are those, Brett, that Sanusi has reservations for about the reforms of Mr. President? These are the headlines on the Vanguard newspaper.
From the Vanguard newspaper, we proceed to The Nation. Banner headline here: how reforms are bringing down poverty by presidency. The writers World Bank let policies reflect on living standard. 139 million could live in poverty by 2025. That story is on page 2. 176 underage UTME candidates undergo screening on page 4. NPA shops for investors in Japan on page 7. NGOs seek ban on Naji from holding public office on page 2. Please put tinted glass enforcement on hold on page 3. Shelve plant strike, Alausa tells ASU on page 4. Balls 2 billion naira loan for core members on page 7. Uche Naji's resignation, a lesson in honor on page 36. What honor is there? I like to think that a man who's got some sort of respect for himself would have stepped aside a long time ago, or better still, clean it up real good.
You know, in a country where people hardly resign, so when someone resigns for any reason, some persons might see it as an honor for that very person.
Those persons are part of the problem. It's a shame that somebody is shamelessly seeing what Naji did as an honor.
They need to see your face.
Senate 6 military base in Kwara on page 5. Troops in communities. There is a rider there. APC set to take in defecting governors on page 2. Party now holds 2 over 3 in Senate. These are the stories on the front page of the Nation newspaper.
Okay, so back to the Punch newspaper. The headline beside the nameplate says Dangote Refinery engineers on war path over redeployment. The story is on page that should be 19. I don't know when it's going to happen. You know, we have read a lot about how these persons were redeployed. We learned that in the course of that negotiation, which was midwife by federal government, that Dangote Refinery, volunteered to pay those engineers without them working for it for 4 years, but Pengasin said no, that they must get to work, and that was what led to that redeployment. Then the banner headline says the presidency rejects World Bank's poverty report. The story is on page 2. It has riders. Nigerians living in poverty rose from 150 million in 2023 to 139 million in 2025. World Bank. Presidency disputes data, defense reforms. World Bank urges action on inflation and poverty. And the question is, why do we always do this very way? When World Bank report favors us, of course, we smile and clap for it. But when it comes against us, we begin to pick holes in what World Bank has said. A strike, FG ASU in high-stakes talks. The story is on page 12. Fraud, Interpol arrest wanted Nigerian in Argentina. The story is on page 5. LP senator shrink to 4 as Chuku joins APC. The story is on page 7. And this one says Nigeria lost $10 billion to Northeast conflict, UN. Check page 7 of a Punch newspaper. Opposition slams governors as state IGR soars by 50%. Check page 18. I don't know if any of you saw that very IGR distribution where Enugu was ranking around 108 something billion.
That's fourth.
If you compare it to where it was 2 years ago, you can see the divide.
But then there has been protests in Enugu state over taxation. People are protesting that are paying through their nose. But probably we're going to come to that later.
All right. So another headline says Christian killings. FG disagrees as Khan backs U.S. senator. The story is on page 7. It's going to be a long day trying to talk about what the U.S. senator has raised in faraway U.S. These are the headlines on Punch newspaper.
All right, then from the Punch newspaper, let's go over to the Guardian and see what the front page says. On page 6, World Bank, Nigeria's reforms yielded stability, not relief for poor. Presidency reps knock claims of genocide against Christians to inform UN on page 3. JAM screens 176 underage candidates amid push for policy review on page 7. ENAC court orders IGP Egbetokun to arrest Yakubu on page 3. You can't develop without investment, Obasanjo says on page 29. Naji's resignation splits opinion, exposes cracks in vetting system on page 6. Reps summon Tugar envoys over $54 million foreign mission funds, please. On page 4. 17 local government areas under attack, says Benue Emergency Agency on page 29. NCC confiscates pirated books valued at 100 million naira in Lagos shops on page 5. Quite an interesting take.
Yes.
If they enter the Obakukwo in Onitsha, what is going to become of... And speaking about pirated copies, not like piracy is a good thing, but how do you intend to have people really read hard copy books without the favor of these pirators? I ask again, if we decide to go for soft copies, how many institutions are digitized enough to provide soft libraries? How many students can afford to have soft copies of books? Because we're talking what's it called now, edupads, we're talking laptops, we're talking tablets, whatever it is going to take for the soft copies to be downloaded and accessed as and when due. So I don't know how they want to do this, how they want to go about it, but I don't know. There has to be a way out. But last headline here: Presidency orders military to flush bandits out of Kwara forests on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper.
Okay, so we have to go to the discussions right now, but Tony, I would like us to just take a short time to look at the issues that might likely happen today. One is the Council of State meeting that is going to happen. What is expected, if we can try to read the mind of those who are going to be there today, and then the reported defection of some governors of the APC today. So let's just do a summary on these two things before we get to the issues for the main day.
I think the Council of State meeting, when we talk about Council of State, we should understand that it's just a conglomeration of expanded bodies of those who are in authority, and you have the former presidents who will be in attendance, and at the same time you also have the governors, and you have some select ministries, officials, where they will be and they will lock on. So when you talk about that council, they advise Mr. President. That council is advisory. So they may advise Mr. President on anything. The president may not take it, and Mr. President may decide to do what he thinks is right for him. But just as we have National Economic Council, and most times I have always said that very council is advisory council. So you can understand that the Council of State is established under section 153 subsection 1 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. So if you look at the composition of the Council of State, the president is the chairman, the vice president is a member, all former presidents of the federation and former heads of the government of the federation, or former chief justices of Nigeria, the president of the Senate, the speaker of the House of Representatives, all state governors, the attorney general of the federation, and their function is very explicit. According to paragraph 5b of the third schedule, the Council of State advised Mr. President on issues that deal with national population, matters relating to its organization and conduct. They advise Mr. President on national honors. So one would ask, all these honors Mr. President has been dishing, so probably he never got any advice from the Council of State. And they also advise Mr. President on the matters relating to independent National Electoral Commission, when it has to do with appointment of the chairman, national commissioners, and also residents electoral commissioners. And I think they also advised Mr. President on matters that maybe, I think the National Judicial Council, NJC, yes, they do, on appointment of members other than ex-official members. Then that of National Population Commission and other matters, the President may refer to the Council for advice, or Mr. President may deem necessary that he needs their advice. So that is the constitutional framework for the Council. So they are holding meeting today, but they are not going to advise Mr. President on all these matters like National Judicial Council, the National Population, National Honors, or even issue of census. But I think the clear thing there will be on the appointment of the chairman of INEC, which is one of the things they have powers to advise Mr. President on. They may also advise him on some of the honors he has given out or the ones he intends to give. I don't know, but these are things we expect from them today.
All right. So another way around, or on the other hand, because we had a story about governors who are likely to defect to the APC, and from what is contained in papers this very morning, it might not happen today, but it could be next week. And apart from the two persons that we have had our eyes on, talking about the governor of Enugu State and the governor of Akwa Ibom to officially go in there, there's also a report that two governors from the northern part of Nigeria might as well join the ranks of APC. And you look at it from what happened yesterday too at the Senate, it seems like everybody is advancing towards the table where the meal is being served.
That is expected. Remember, once one person defects, Yusuf Kabiru will follow him through, and it is expected. Everybody is negotiating power, negotiating alliance, negotiating strength, and that is politics. And one thing about Nigerians, there will be those who are defected, but many of us may be antagonistic against some of these defectors. Could be where you have people's mandate. You are taking a mandate given to you, and you are taking it to another political party. I think that's where we need constitutional amendment. If you are elected on any platform, you cannot defect to another political party unless you resign that appointment or that position. If you are elected governor, we saw this during the Second Republic. Yes,
maybe it should
we
be.
Saw it.
You should not. That's what the Constitution says, because they have been canning, they have been defecting, and nothing has happened. And so the question at this point would be, Tony, what would it take to make something happen? Because surely it would take someone losing his seats for these defectors to stop cross-carpeting randomly, abandoning the parties that gave them wings to fly.
I remember Constitution is silent on governors, executive governors defected. So Constitution did not even make any statement.
I mean, not just governors here. We've seen House of Rep members.
There was a statement on their own case that the issue of defection should only be based on division, the party they were elected upon. But the Supreme Court interpreted that division to be having leadership crisis at the national level. But the point remains, they should not defect. We need to tighten that area. One, remove the issue of leadership crisis, or whether there is division, remove it. You should not defect. If you have problem, go and sort it.
Sort your problem.
Then secondly, on elected governors, they should also introduce another proviso where governors cannot defect. But if you decide to defect, resign from the appointment, resign from the position. It's not appointment anyway. Resign from the position, the elected position. You have to resign. Let's not just believe the Nigerians, after taking so much effort to cast their vote for a political party, the candidate takes that vote to another political party. If you go to the ballots, if you look at the ballot, on the ballots, what you see on the ballot, you see logos of political parties. You will not even see the name of any candidate. You will not see it on the ballot. And how come you voted for this political party only for that candidate of the political party to transfer your votes to another political party? Is a disservice.
Okay, so how can we redesign and be able to rearrange the power that announces a seat vacant? Because where we have been having issues with all these lawmakers is the fact that if you go to the State House Assembly, the way the law is worded, it goes on the speaker to declare that the seat has become vacant. if you go to the National Assembly, the power rests on the Speaker of the House of Reps and then the Senate President. And we have seen that in most cases, Senate President comes from the ruling party, and in most cases, ruling party benefits. So how would you expect the person who is benefiting to declare the seat vacant? So how do we go around that very law or that provision in the 1999 Constitution so that the power to declare seat vacant can be taken to some other authority?
I think you cannot take it away from the Senate, but rather it will not be the Senate President or the Speaker, as the case may be, that we announce the seat vacant. It could be the clerk. But if you give that responsibility to the clerks most times work under the directives of the Senate President. It's more like taking this from Peter and giving it back to Paul. So if you want to have a situation whereby a neuter, somebody who is not politically aligned, gets involved to pronounce the seat vacant as required by law, it may take course down to National Assembly Commission. There is a commission, but that commission, I don't think that is badly influenced by the Senate President. Is a separate body on its own. Just like we have the Judicial Commission, we also have the Nigerian Police Service Commission. So let the commission come in now. The head of the commission and the law will make it in such a way that immediately the family announces the death of a member, or immediately a member defects, the head of the commission and comes in, or anybody acting on his behalf, in case if the person could be in the hospital or may not be anywhere to be found, make such announcements. We must tighten our laws. And I've said it many times, the problems we are having in this country is largely as a result of our laws.
So is this something that judiciary can do if we decide to give them that responsibility?
If you allow judiciary to come in there, it will be overreach. There is separation of power. So judiciary will
because if the law on defection was made by, let's say, legislature, and then the interpretation and adjudication rests on judiciary, so can we still give them that very responsibility?
Judiciary comes in especially when issues are brought before them. They don't just go wandering on issues or prognosing on issues. If anything goes wrong, judiciary will be looking until one of the parties brings it up before them. They will not come in. That is the way it is in most places. That's why I said the National Assembly Commission can come in there. When you talk about the issue of appointment of senior officers and their deployment, we've seen the Police Service Commission, even when we know very well the Inspector of Police heavily influences such decision. I understand their angle, but it's not as if we cannot depart from what judiciary is known for and entrust them with other responsibility, because those we have given that in the past, they have been abusing it. So it does not also mean we cannot entrust them with other responsibility. But I know those who are making laws will not allow judiciary to come in to decide their own affairs. They will say, you have your jurisdiction, I have my jurisdiction. If you go to section 5, section 6 and section 4 of the Constitution, there is a clear separation of powers. So coming in to determine this or determine that for us, they will not allow it. But we can find a way to make it to be something that we must take conscious effort in promoting. National Assembly Commission can make such decision, and the law permits them to do that immediately there is defection, and we must, before going on with this, do away with issue of leadership or division of the political party, which the Supreme Court interpreted to be at the national level. Do away with that. No defection of any kind. If anybody decides to defect, the person comes in. In fact, that of governor, if a governor decides to defect, who now the judiciary comes in now. If a governor decides to defect, if we make the amendment I'm proposing, if governor makes any defection, court, we definitely pronounce his seat to be vacant and orders INEC to go on and then conduct election to fill the vacant seat. That's the amendment I'm proposing. It will help us a lot. So just like I said earlier on, our problems in this country are largely as a result of the lackadaisical, lopsided laws we have that creates room for loopholes.
Do you really think there is any lawmaker presently in any house in Nigeria that would actually as much as sponsor a bill in this direction.
Definitely, they may not. Remember, the issue of constitutional amendment is ongoing thing, and there is a committee, and the committee has made it open that Nigerians, advocacy groups, civil society organizations can send memo on areas they want amendments. So it could be part of the process. But the point remains, just like if not for second term caveat, many governors would have run for third term, fourth term, fifth term. If the constitution says that you will only run third term based on performance, you will see somebody who has not done anything in 8 years will just fabricate, compromise institutions that assess this performance index and takes him as if he has done well for tech term. So if many of them regret not running for tech term, many of them, do you know what it means to test power and leave power? Many of them feel so bad leaving power. How can you allow honey in your mouth, milk in your mouth to just slip away? So that's the way they see it.
Really
because
curious.
there is a law that stops them. We can also make such laws to stop them from defection. We can also make such law to stop them from all manner of reckless expenditures on the issue of security votes, appropriation for contingency, and all manner of things that are not accounted for.
All right.
See, we can do a whole lot.
Permit me to say that we pray that one day the spirit of activism that overtook Sani Shehu that time, when he told us the amount of money that's needed to take home, might overtake our lawmakers, so that they might begin to think in this very direction to deal with all these lapses and lacunas we have in our laws. We have to come back to Anambra State because the downpour on Tuesday morning left sad tales in their mouth, or left a bitter taste in their mouth, because many houses were submerged by flood. Especially, I think I learned around Nkwelogidi, where flood that came out from that very, should I call that a bro pit or whatever it is, overtook the road and then found its way into some houses. Fences were pulled down and they cried foul. Yesterday, the governor of Anambra State was in Ogidi, and he assured people of Ogidi, which is in them non-local government area of Anambra State, that there's going to be government intervention in the flood issue that has plagued the community for quite a while. Anybody who uses the old old Enugu Onitsha road, if you're familiar with KP and what have you now, some monikers, so once you get there during rainy season, you will be able to connect to this very story. So the one that happened on Tuesday was maybe unprecedented. That's why it got so much attention. So for the governor to have said that he's going to take some actions to ensure that these things, the issue is addressed, how are the communities going to respond? Because sometimes I got to know that why the logjam has been that very way is that there's a problem of who owns the land or who is going to concede the land for certain construction, Tony.
It's important. The one of Ogidi, I've asked questions, and I was told that there was a time Ogidi and Obunike were quarreling over some spaces or some acres of land. Well, you know, they are contiguous by boundary, so they were quarreling over, you know, some acres of land. And in a bid to settle them, it proved so difficult that a lake was artificially created to deal with the issue of land disputes. And that lake that was artificially created to dissuade these communities on that issue of land is now creating a problem. And that's just where we have found ourselves. And we discovered that all runoff waters from different places, in fact even from Ezu River, they all converge at that point and cause so much damages and then issues during rainy season. So, and the past administrations, they have done one or two things to ensure that something is done in that area. And there were times there was this embankment, there was a time, a little things that really tried to stop water from moving from one direction to the other. These things were created, but just one rainy season, it will just run it over. It is quite disturbing. So I think what we need to do is to construct underground tunnel that allows the water to flow from one part of the area to the other part without running through the roads. Because when it runs through the road, it will flood the entire road. For you to drive there, your car may even submerge partially, and it creates a problem. And when it runs through the road, there is no avenue for departure. The water wouldn't escape from any angle, and it keeps concentrating on that area. So what will solve that problem will be to construct underground channel, the way the government of Anambra State is constructing one along Mbo Obosi Road. If you go through that road, Mbo Obosi Road, around these construction sites, but the area is a Chapter layout. It's a Chapter layout in Obosi, close to this gas station, the one that had problem the other time. But you know where I'm talking about. There is underground drainage system that is being constructed, because that area at Chapter layout is heavily flooded whenever it rains, and the people over there, they have been complaining, and sometimes houses will be submerged. So the government is constructing underground drainage that will take the flood from one part of the road to the other side. I think we need something of such around that Ogidi area. We need an underground tunnel or drainage system that takes the water from one area to the other and create pathway for the water to continue its journey. Because sometimes these waters, they are in journey, they move on, they know where they're heading to, so they form tributaries and possibly get into a major river that will take them to sea. So that is the way it should be. And we have been having greatly issues of flooding, and flooding is what causes erosion. And Anambra State is the capital of erosion sites. No state has erosion sites more than Anambra State, and it takes a lot to control erosion. Is a capital intensive project. So, and we have to also control flood, because while you're controlling flood, you are trying to avert erosion. So the support of the federal government is also needed, and also willing citizens in the state to tackle the menace of flood and erosion in Anambra State.
Now, and then for this very perennial Ogidi flood issue, if the communities involved, if they have any cost to settle, they better do it now, so that we get to deal with this once and for all. And Kuza Derainama, because these days, I think that was on Tuesday, we were meant to, that was on Tuesday, we were meant to go back to Oka. We had to take the expressway to avoid stories that touch the heart. Now let's get to see the story about Christian killings. FG disagrees as Khan backs U.S. senator. This very story has been there for quite a while now, where a U.S. senator, Ted Cruz, where he made a statement in the U.S. In fact, he has even gone to the media, and now he has sponsored a bill in the U.S. where he's talking about how Nigerian authorities have been orchestrating a genocide against Christians and allowing the destruction of thousands of churches in this very country. Nigeria is not finding this quite funny, because yesterday the presidency reacted, likewise the National Assembly. In fact, the Deputy Speaker of the House of Reps sponsored a motion in this respect yesterday, where they disagreed with the U.S. Senator, saying that whatever he claimed is quite false and untrue, and at the same time baseless. They were asking questions how he arrived at the figures that he has banded, because according to him, since 2009, not less than 52,000 Christians have been killed, and a couple of churches, about 20,000 churches destroyed. Likewise, Christian schools destroyed in Nigeria by extremists or what have you not. Now, government of Nigeria is not finding very funny, because he had said this is not working, and you must the U.S. senator must find a way to correct the misinformation that he has been fed with. So Tony, let's start with the basics, which is what you make of this very move which is made by the U.S. senator. That's number one. Then the issues he has raised. Is there any truth in his accusation that Nigerian authorities are the ones orchestrating the genocide against Christians and allowing the destruction of thousands of churches in Nigeria? Can you cite if there is anything to show that Nigerian government has in any way sat on genocide against Christians in Nigeria. That claim he made that more than 52,000 Christians have been killed in Nigeria since 2009 and over 20,000 churches and Christian schools have been destroyed. Is there any substance in this his assertion, or I can say allegation?
Remember, he who alleges does what?
Must prove.
You have to prove it. But we know the politics. Remember, this is a sensitive and important question you asked. And you asked, is it for real, or is there any fact? We are talking about state-sponsored killings, or states being behind the killings of Christians. When you say state, you are talking about the country, the government at the center. When you say state-sponsored killing or the state being behind the killings of Christians, you are talking about the government, the central government. To answer factually, I don't think the Nigerian government has officially taken sides in any religious conflicts or killings, whether involving Christians or Muslims. Well, you remember that even the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria clearly established Nigeria as a secular state. That is under Section 10, which prohibits the government from adopting or favoring any religion, even when we know that is not strictly obeyed to. It's more like a caveat, but we must let you know that there are times Christians are being killed. Government may pay little attention or come up with laissez-faire attitude. That's what we call negligence. But whether they have come out tactically, technically, otherwise, that's not true. Government has not in any way been part of subterranean in a subtle manner. No. But there are times they will not do much expected from them, especially when Christians are killed. That is the area of negligence. So there are people that will tell you, if you don't do what you expected to do to prevent something from happening, there could be a complicity to that. But the truth remains that the US senator who is pushing for Nigeria to be designated as a country of concern in the area of Christian killings, if that is done, it's going to affect quite a lot. People do not even understand that. It was going to affect the bilateral relationship between Nigeria and the United States of America, and there could be visa restriction.
Okay.
Apart from visa restriction, certain exchanges in area of trade, these things could be heavily impacted.
All right, so Tony, we're going to talk more on the implications of the move that has been made by the U.S. Senator after this very commercial break. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
On the move again. Anambra is Abga. On the move again. Abga is Anambra. On the move again. Soludo is our choice. On the move again. Good road. Ideo. Free education. Ideo. Quality healthcare service. Ideo. New government house for lighthouse or Kadua. Solution from city. Idua. Okoko new heaven. Better security, many better life project. On the move again, Anambra is Abga. Abga is Anambra. Soludo is our choice.
On November 8th, vote for continuity and more development. Vote the Soludo Ibezim ticket. Let the solution continue. Abga, Onyaga na Wanneya. Vote Okuko.
People of Ukpo and the entire Anambra State, get ready for a life-changing apostolic invasion. It's Ukpo Citywide Crusade, powered by Ukpo Christian Association, with the Restoration Apostle Johnson Suleiman, live in Anambra State. A divine awakening for signs and wonders. Come and witness the mighty miracles of God in a prophetic atmosphere like never before. Ukpo Citywide Crusade. Theme: the Lord, He is God. It will also feature anointed songs ministrations by Ambassador Chinyere Udoma and Minister Adrian Alex. The date is Tuesday, 28th of October at 4 p.m. and Wednesday, 29th of October 2025 at 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. And it will be happening live at Walter Eze Memorial Secondary School Field, Former Boys Secondary School, opposite All Saints Anglican Church, Ukpo Dunukofia Local Government Area of Anambra State. For inquiries, call 0903 952 1048 or 0806 297 8399. Please note that there will be free transportation to the crusade ground. Ukpo Citywide Crusade. Come in faith and you shall see the power of God.
Quality bread, Wendy's bread, for your family breakfast. Wendy's bread. I'll pack it on the dosialo. Wendy's bread. Mama, papa, they like Wendy's bread. Not kitchen and do. Wendy's bread. Even children, they like Wendy's bread. Oh, Wendy's bread. Wendy's bread. You get it better, tasty, we go sweet your belly. Wendy's bread. Wendy's your bachichoma. Wendy's bread. The champion.
Wendy's bread, your tasty bread. You can contact us on our official address, 2nd Business Park, Enugu Road, GRA, beside Onitsha, Anambra State. We also have another branch at St. Michael Plaza at Tandy Road. Also contact us on 070-1149-1571. Wendy's bread, your tasty bread.
Wendy's bread.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
You're listening to The Polity. Get involved now.
Of course, you are listening to The Polity on the Radio 104.7 FM. It's 6 minutes past 10 a.m. My name is Franklin and Olisa Mbeki and Chisom. All of us are together for today's conversation. And don't forget, you can also go and watch our video live on our Facebook page, Udala Radio 104.7 FM. If you are on YouTube and Instagram, it is Udala Radio. Get involved in this very conversation. So, Tony, we're talking about what a U.S. senator had said about Nigeria in respect to the alleged genocide against Christians. Ted Cruz actually was on an interview with Fox News Digital, where he alleged that 52,000 Christians have been killed in Nigeria since 2009. And over 20,000 churches and Christian schools have been destroyed. He went ahead to announce the introduction of the Nigeria Religious Freedom Accountability Act in the U.S. Senate, a bill seeking sanctions on Nigerian officials he claims are complicit in religious persecution. Now, that's one part I want to reference before we now bring you in for the implications for this very step that has been taken by the senator. Of course, this very man chairs the Senate Subcommittee on Africa and Global Health Policy, and he claimed that the alleged killings were the result of decisions made by specific people in specific places at specific times, and he vowed that the United States knows who those individuals are and will hold them to account, or will hold them accountable. So, talk about the implications of the move that has been made by the very U.S. senator. If eventually this gets to see the light of the day, what impact would this going to have on Nigeria's relationship with USA on individual basis, and then on sovereign country basis, Tony?
It's important to understand what the senator from Texas, I'm aware, because Senator Ted Cruz is of Republican Party. He's of the same party with Donald Trump, and he's one of the senators from Texas, because every state in US produces 2 senators against the 3 we have in Nigeria. So we are talking about Ted Cruz here now. He actually introduced the Nigeria Religious Freedom Accountability Act of 2025 before US Senate. He has introduced a bill for an act, and the title of that his bill is the Nigeria Religious Freedom Accountability Act of 2025. That's the title in US Senate, for crying out loud. And then if you look at the very bill, things that are being considered, if that bill says true where Trump assents to it and becomes an act in US, then any US president is required to impose sanctions under Executive Order 13818, which deals with blocking property of persons involved in serious human rights abuse or corruption. And those individuals may include federal or state officials and what have you. So there will be also reporting requirements, because within 90 days of such enactment, the Secretary of State must submit to relevant congressional committees a report listing Nigerian persons, those who are promoting or who enacted or who maintained blasphemy laws. Do we have blasphemy laws? Yes, we have some of these laws under Sharia laws in northern part of the country. And then there will be also designation under the International Religious Freedom Act. I think this International Religious Freedom Act of 1998 was enacted in 1998 in the United States of America, but it was amended in 2016, and under its amendment it wears a new name, Frank R. Wolf International Religious Freedom Act of 2016. So it's an amendment to the first act that was passed in 1998, where the secretary of the states under that act must designate Nigeria as a country of particular concern, CPC, not APC, CPC, country of particular concern, for engaging in or tolerating systematic violations of religious freedom. Remember, these things will happen only if this bill introduced by Ted Cruz from the state of Texas Republican Party sells through. Remember, Boko Haram and ISIS, they are entities of particular concerns according to this very bill, if it sees the light of the day, because all these ISIS bandits, whatever name, Lakurawa, by whatever name they are called, that targets Christians, they will be classified as entities of particular concern, where Nigeria as a country will be classified as a country of particular concern. So it is going to put quite a lot of things, and it will translate to mean they will impose sanctions on us. Apart from designations I have mentioned, there will be political and diplomatic pushback, and there will be quite a lot, even so many things, and in the bilateral relations we have in trade and other areas, these things will be greatly affected. The diplomatic relations, these things will be affected. So, but Nigerian Senate yesterday rose, and I think the House of Representatives also made their own comments on this, and many of them have said that Ted Cruz has not visited Nigeria. Where did he get his figures? 52,000. That's what he said. Is that what he said?
Yeah.
52,000 Nigerians have been murdered by jihadists.
So we are looking at a space of 16 years.
Yes. And he also said that over 20,000 Christian churches and religious-based institutions have been destroyed. Over 20,000 Christian churches. And he went on to say that on June 13, more than 200 Christians were murdered by Fulani jihadists in a Nigerian village. He mentioned Plateau State, he mentioned Benue State, saying that those targets in Plateau and Benue States were targeted at Christians. But those killings were up to 200. The one of Plateau, I don't know, we can still recollect, but I don't know. So that is just that. But it's all important that he deposited quite a number of documents.
Well, some of the records out there have it that between 2015 and 2023, under President Buhari's regime, about 30,250 deaths happened.
Yes.
While some records say these are Christians, I cannot categorically say because these sources would need to be verified. Now, between 2019 and 2023, some records say 16,769 civilians killed. Christian religion is not the subject here now, but civilians were mentioned. And then about 5,068 in 2002, 3,100 in 2024. So whatever figures are being bandied here, whoever the messenger is, let's look at the message. Are we having religious killings? I recall the Owo massacre. There are a couple of killings that have happened. Are there religious undertones? Going back to how Boko Haram initially started and how it has festered into what it has become today, and had children like Rawa and the rest of them, all of them even eventually being bandits, as against calling them what they really are. Are there religious undertones? And where religious undertones are an exception, it's one thing to tell us he is banding for statistics. It is one thing to tell us he is categorizing everything under religion. What kind of sanity exists in a country where there is no external infiltration, there is no war going on, and in 16 years, you categorically tell me that 52,000 people have been killed? There was no war going on, no pandemic. Please make it make sense, because we are just busy revolving around religion. I'm innocent it here.
All right, I think you asked important questions. So let's leave the messenger now, and the messenger in this case is Ted Cruz, Senator Ted Cruz of Texas. Let's leave him as a person and look at some of the things he has said and some of the things he has pushed. You asked if there is religious killing in Nigeria, and I won't sit down here and say there's no religious killings. I won't sit down here. I will be lying, and I wouldn't want to get myself in that web. Secondly, we have seen Christians murdered. We saw what happened in southern Kaduna. Zaria especially, Christians have cried out. There is one church, Ekwa, they have cried out in Borno State. So many places in Nigeria. Look at what is going on in Plateau and Benue State. So I won't sit down here and pretend there is no such killings. But even when we know that mosques, some of these mosques have also been attacked as well. But you cannot measure where 14 mosques or 12 mosques or 15 mosques were attacked, and you have around 15,000 churches being attacked. The two are not the same. So you can't just use because 12 mosques or 14 of them were attacked to say, oh, after all, they were also attacked. But the key thing is this: if you look at the US law, the International Religious Freedom Act, coded IRFA of 1998 as amended by the Frank R. Wolf International Religious Act of 2016, as I said earlier on, the United States government expects foreign governments, including Nigeria, as we have said here, to actively protect all citizens' freedom of religion and prevent persecution based on faith. So for them, they are saying that there had not been comprehensive investigation and prosecution of perpetrators of religiously motivated attacks, either by headers, bandits, extremists, mob. Any attack that is religiously motivated, the perpetrators, have they been prosecuted? Have they been brought to justice? That is one thing that you can see in that very act. And not just that, they also expect public condemnation of religious violence. How often has Nigerian government come out publicly to denounce, to condemn religious violence, extremism, not by bare lips of words, but also in action? And how have we been able to strengthen legal institutions to help in prosecuting religiously motivated attacks? If I ask you now, if I ask Franklin now, how many people have been convicted of religious attack in Nigeria? Can you tell me anybody you know about? How many? I'm asking. I think if I ask this question to those who are listening to us, nobody can safely. For those who may say that Tony is biased, there are those that what they usually say or their mantra is Tony is biased. But if I ask them this question now, can you tell me? I'm not supporting Ted Cruz anyway, because I know that we've seen violence of different shades and different forms. I'm not supporting Ted Cruz, but I'm saying what is expected of the government to do to protect the different religious group we have in the country. That's what I'm saying.
So Tony, do you think the Nigerian government is rattled by what Ted Cruz is doing?
Definitely, the government is rattled. Do you know what it means to introduce a bill in the U.S. Senate for a country like Nigeria, and that bill is titled Nigeria? So do you know what I mean?
So why would it take a foreigner to wake up the conscience of the government of a sovereign nation?
I think the whole thing is the fact that they operate in line with their laws. And if you look at part of their law, this law have been citing, has there been compensation? How many mosques or Christian churches that have been burned down, and you see government coming back to compensate and rebuild them? That's another thing.
Maybe Tony, let's stick on when you talked about punishment, because compensation, if we keep letting these people go free, Tony, the point is they would keep doing what they are doing. Tomorrow people will be compensated. But when you look at the foundation of all of these things, we are talking a network. They don't operate in isolation. They might have different names, but they are breakaway factions of a root group. So why are we not looking at rooting these people out of the system? I mean, compensation is there. It's supposed to be a primary angle. But how many bodies do we have to count? How many compensations? I mean, look at the fact that children are constantly displaced from going to schools. In the broader perspective now, outside of it being religiously themed, I think it was Simon, not Mutfwang. It wasn't Simon, it was Mutfwang, the present governor of Plateau State.
Caleb
Mutfwang. That for over 5 years, some schools in some parts of Plateau State have been overtaken by these elements who camp in those schools. It means children are displaced from schools. And so when we talk about out of school children statistics, poverty is not the only problem we are dealing with. The lack of facilities is not just the problem. The problem is that some elements go to existing facilities and use them as their camps. And so the question is, when do we stop negotiating with these people? When do we take them out of the system for good? When do we start to address the fact that they are spreading, they are taking different names, and we should stop referring to them in different, do I call it categories? Some are treated better than some are judged less dangerous. You are wielding weapons, you are as dangerous as your brother.
For us to do some of these things you mentioned, Chisom, we need to use both kinetic and non-kinetic approach. If we are to start with kinetic approach, we must make sure that policing is local. We bring security to the doorstep of every Nigerian. One, make sure there is effective community policing system. Decentralize the policing architecture. Let the communities take charge of their own security as we have elsewhere. Let local governments take charge of their own security. Let states take charge of their own security. And this will help in a long way. That's for kinetic. And for non-kinetic approach, we must ensure that we bring all manner of, whether you call it employment, must make hands to be busy. And government at all levels must show accountability to the people. Because some of these people who are doing this, they believe that government officials, they are doing their own banditry, using their pen, and they are doing their own, using their gun. So government must show accountability. And projects, we have to see projects coming up. We have to see people being given opportunities to thrive in their areas, either through skill acquisition, through education, through a lot. So many, we must alleviate the problem. Look at what we are battling with. Was it not the other day, the IMF yesterday called World Bank, I think it's World Bank
yesterday,
said that Nigeria as a country has how many people living below poverty line? 130 million. Nigerian government reacted. Sunday Dare, I was reading this morning his reaction to that, saying that you are using hypothetical model, or you are using a model formula as against using PPP, purchasing power parity, trying to let us know why they arrive at $2.11. Sorry, $2.15. That because they measure that anybody who earns or who spends below $2.15 in a day is poor. And if you sum it up in a year, that is $64. But Sunday Dare is saying that $64 averages about 100,000, which is even above our minimum wage. So how would you say that those who earn minimum wage, they are in poverty? The truth is that they are in poverty.
No,
See, I don't want to talk about that because we didn't mention that.
Before you delve more into that, because let me just conclude this very part of what Ted Cruz said, because there's no doubt that there have been killings in the country. Yeah. There's no doubt, it's incontestable. Killings, whether in the north, whether in the south.
Yes.
Then the question will now be whether they are targeted at Christians or not, or Nigerians are just victims of extremism. Then another one is if there's any element of state power in it, or if there are individuals who are riding off extremism to annihilate Christians or any other Nigerian. Because if you look at what Cruz said, he said there were results of decisions made by specific people in specific places at specific times. This is the exact word of what he said. Now, I want to give you an example of what it was. I was in the north in 2012, 2013. I was staying in Gari. That's area called Gariki in Jigawa State. It should be about 45 minutes drive from Kano State. If we want to attend church service, we would drive for 45 minutes to go to Gumel to attend church service, or we go to Ringin local government area to also attend a church service. Telling you how skeletal church is where at that time. At the point in time, I got into conversation with one Catholic priest at Gumel, who shared the experiences or what it has been or what it had been for him then, trying to survive there. And I discovered that it wasn't easy for them to be able to thrive. But I was asking for the part you were able to get a land to build a church so that you were welcome, right? So these are the facts that we know. But this, the question of if there is a state imprimatur on the killings we have, and if Christians are targeted, or we are all victims of extremism.
I think to answer your question, there are times Christians are targeted, there are times we are exposed to extremism. The two are involved. There have been attacks purely targeted at Christian or churches. There are attacks that was just purely extremism, and those who were close to that area were involved in such inferno. So the truth remains that if you go by different groups, NGOs, they have said many times that number of church attacks or destructions were at a point very frequent, and then there is no strong commitment from the state to denounce some of these things. So it's important that we look at it from a holistic angle, apart from being rattled by what State Cruz is doing. If what he's doing would make us to regain consciousness and begin to do what we are supposed to do, fine and good. Just like I said earlier on, there are things that we will do that will prove that we are strongly behind religious freedom. One, those religious groups that have been targeted, have been attacked, what have we been able to do to ensure their churches are rebuilt, the people who were involved, they are compensated, and so I think we can take some practical steps, and that is one. And secondly, what do we do to prevent such from happening? And then where we have to make a strong national law criminalizing religious extremism. Have you? Yes, the Constitution has, I know people will say we have enough laws, but because it has become something of immediate and urgent concern, can we come up with a law criminalizing religious extremism, and then seeing religious extremism as terrorism as well? Even there are people that will tell you it's part of the law. If you go to Anti-Terrorism Act and all these things, you will see what terrorism is defined as, but they did not add it in that area of faith-based. But we can expand it. So the idea is send signal to everybody, and what Ted Cruz is doing is also spoiling business for Nigeria. There are investors willing to come into the country to invest. I know those who are willing to come in the area of mining, oil, agriculture. The other day we are talking about one of the biggest plants being sited somewhere in Nigeria for insulin manufacturing and production in Nasarawa State. There are so many minerals. I think this thing the young man is doing, whenever US Senate talks, the word listings. It is spoiling business for us. We need to do something to mitigate the effect of whatever he's coming up with. Yes, we cannot deny some of the things he has said, but we cannot also agree to everything he has said.
Okay, so we have to open the phone lines now for us to entertain calls before we get to the other thing that we say have on board, the issue of what World Bank said yesterday and the reaction of the presidency. You can get on board by calling 0803-221-6973 or 0803-827-6694. Please don't forget that. You have barely 2 minutes. Call in, go straight to the point. Good morning. Good morning. Your name?
My name is Emmanuel. I'm calling from Onitsha.
Emmanuel, go on.
Thank you very much. Well, we Nigerians, more especially we in southern Nigeria, we are, I think, we like suffering and smiling. Sometimes we like to face the denial. Let me tell us something. If anybody thinks that it's what people say, there's no fact on it. I think that person is put the person deceiving himself or trying to be a Christian in Nigeria. If you go to North, I thank God you said that you have been in the North. You go to the North, you see that mosque is as many as church here in Nigeria. Don't mind you see one big church from very far from the other one. Then you can ask yourself, how many of them was born? The 50 of them was born. They didn't look around to say. The other one landed in Centrina at the one state. He sat down, very big church at the bottom of town. From there, that Chibok, they are talking Chibok there. You know that Chibok is the Christian community to the state. That's the Buddha religion. That is what they are talking about. The state of South Black state is dominant Christian. Britain is dominant Christian. Then after that, having here in Nigeria, that Boko Haram or the Baptist, Lukorawa, Boko Haram, family, and Islamic men. And then that together they are both in Nigeria.
All right.
So
Okay. Okay. Hold on. There could be some element of fact in what he said. Like in Nigeria, we have had cases of people who are killed on account of blasphemy, and if you check the records, some of them are connected to Christians. It's a fact. But the area where you talked about, if you go to the north, you see just pocket size of churches. This thing applies to the south. When you come to the south, you see few mosques. So you wouldn't expect to have that kind of balance, because the number of Christians we have in the north is not the same with the number of Christians we have in the south.
No, that is exactly what I'm saying. I just, and the small churches, the little number of church out here, and they still following the church. They will not know how church will be many as in the southern Nigeria. Because they are dominant Christians here, and here they are dominant Muslims. So, but here, is there anyone who are coming here? No, the other is no. We have Olisa here. And then don't put any more. Yes, no. Look, there is a genocide for the Christians here in Nigeria. Whether somebody likes it or not.
All right. Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. We also have cases where some Islamic clerics have been killed by these extremists. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone in the studio.
Yes. Good morning. You're welcome.
I am Great Dame Asia Patego, streaming the airwaves from Osmoro.
All right. Go on and cruise.
No matter how any Nigerian politician may react to what Cruz said, and what he proposes to do with regards to making law that will checkmate Nigeria. Cruz from Texas in America. A well done job. Americans are wiser. I can remember vividly what happened some years ago, maybe 2 years ago, when American citizens were kidnapped and put in a putsch. America rallied around and they got their own. Fred, you see, whatever Nigerian politicians are saying, they are on their own. The Republicans of America, they have come. Yes, Nigeria is a setback to this world because of the way they harbor insecurity and make life unbearable to their citizens. Yes, how do I say so? I can remember that America and UAE governments, they named those people who are sponsoring terrorism in this country. Did Nigerian government do anything right from the time of Buhari to this present regime, where we have a Muslim ticket? Come to think of it, how many Muslim churches were bombed in this country since the insurgency came? How many Christians were killed? Americans are wiser. They don't just intimidate you and talk down on you. They have to carry out their analysis and investigations before they came up. I love them. Let them come down and do the needful. Not only on that, in every aspect of life, Nigeria is found wanting. And we need messiahs like America to do what? To come down and correct these anomalies. You see, I can remember vividly once more when American countries, British, and all civilized countries cautioned their citizens to be wary of this area, because of insurgency and terrorism.
All right, thank you.
Welcome, well done, America. Welcome, and well done, the Republicans. Well done, Mr. Cruz. You are on point.
All right.
Thank you all. Good morning.
All right, thank you. Thank you for joining. Hello, good morning. Hello. Hello, good morning. Okay, couldn't hear you. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning. Your name?
I'm calling from Abagana.
You are calling from Abagana?
Yes, I want to see on the bill sponsored by Mr. Cruz in America.
Okay, please, I'm still very young to become deaf. Please, can you help us?
Move away from your radio sets.
Are you hearing me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, yes. I want to first talk about Atorok. The people who have there. We have Mr. President, a Muslim, Vice President, a Muslim. That's Muslim state. That's number one. Then I want to talk about the killings going on in the north against Christians. And nobody is talking. Even the Vatican, the head of Christians, is not talking. I've been saying this thing to my friends.
Can said something. Can said something.
Christians being killed in the north. So there are people killed in the inside villages in the north. Those people are not accounted for. Just when they kill around Benue, Plateau, and so on. There you have it. I'm remembering vividly about priests, Reverend Father, that are killing in Benue State. These people are not being remembered. So we don't forget about them because as if they are not human beings. So what the Americans are talking is just down point. They're talking nothing but the truth. Christians are being targeted in Nigeria and nobody is doing anything. Even government just look the other way. So that's what I want from it. That's what I'm saying is true. So we have to support them, whatever they are doing, to save Christians. We are dying one by one.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for calling. Let's see who we have next here on the line. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Can you hear us? Okay, I think we'll have to try another person. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Your name?
My name is Ignatius Okoye. I'm a big Okoye from our ancient kingdom. Calling you from Newi.
Go on, Ignatius.
Good morning, my honorable speaker, Tony Mbeki.
You're welcome. Good morning.
And Chisom also.
Good morning.
You see, what I want to say here concerning what the American senator is doing in America, they had said, I think Khan said that what they are saying is true. So we know better than Khan. Khan has the record.
Is that what Khan said?
In Nigeria, the time, the date, the month, and Khan sent the letter to them, the Americans, that's senators, claiming that what they are saying is true. So we have nothing to say here. Let us watch and see. Our brothers from the north used to say this to me. One of my brothers in the north say that they, the Christians, they don't go to, at this Buchanan side, this Medina, they don't go to church now. They stay at their home to pray. What can you say about this? So let the Americans do whatever they want to do. Thank you. I'm done.
Okay, so if I'm going to come in here regarding what Khan said, because if you read from the headlines as captured in Punch, you might think that Khan expressly said yes, Christians are targeted. What Khan said in simple terms is that not Christians alone are targeted. They confirm that there have been killings, but their concern has been that the government today has not been decisive in addressing the issues of killings and crises we have in the country. I think this is the expressing that Khan said. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, very good morning to you.
Yes, good morning.
Chisom and the Dr. Journalism.
You're welcome.
Change the people are telling you from.
Yes,
Yeah,
go on.
Yes, the truth is that the U.S. syllabus is not far from the truth. If you look at the whole thing that is going on in this country, number one is that we don't have a record, actual record of what is happening in this country. And even the state is behind it, not actually having the actual record. Because in most cases, when there are victims of such an act, the police report will be don't know what actually happened. When they tell you that it's more than 300, police will be giving you it is just 10 people or 20 people. That is usually the case in Nigeria. So US, we can't battle with them or compete with them because they have a very strong network all over the world. And from that US syllabus is from the independent investigation. And I don't think that it is doing it for any kind purpose because when we look at 10 years is very, very long. And the whole lot of things is happening in Nigeria. So many killings. And in most cases, even the state tries to cover it. Think of what happened during the NSAS period. The victims of that killings or massacre, and immediately the security people remove the corpses. And that is why the information minister said that the report that there is no corpse and so on and so forth until some journalists went into action and discovered that there are a whole lot of killings. Even as we speak now, the actual figures cannot be found. And that is the case in many parts of Nigeria where there are so many killings, like Plateau State, Benue State, Taraba, and the other parts of Sokoto, and the Kaduna State, and so on and so forth. The killings here, and the destruction of churches here. There's no actual record. So this record is not far from the truth. Let us just understand this that way.
All
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for joining. Hello.
Morning.
Yes, good morning. Your name?
Thank you. Good morning, Olisa Mbeki and Franklin.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'm Sunday where I'm calling from Lagos.
Sunday, go
concerning
on.
the issue of what America is saying, I think banditry or terrorism has no ethnic connotation. That and so has no any religion or any whatever. Terrorism is terrorism. That's why it's supposed to the ban not the same most guns, the churches are born, even factories. Even down here in Southeast, some people don't access their ancestral home. Some run away from other neighboring town because of
it takes to it. That's why it's only now that people are jubilating that and going back to their home. So, if those things start, no, it doesn't know terrorism. So, whatever people are saying, you cannot generalize that the Muslims or the North are bad. That's the Christians. So I don't think what America is saying is true. Because look at what happened in Israel the other time. The Palestinians come and they kidnap thousands of people. Like, don't know what they carry, or even the road or the aeroplane. Today, one of them, even the Israelites, have not ever found where they are. They're just pleading them to release. They're just killing ordinary people. So it doesn't matter whatever it is. Terrorism has no gender or ethnic or religion. That's what I want to say. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Sunday from Newi. Hello, good morning. Okay. Try again. 0803-221-6973 or 0803-827-6694. Good morning.
Good morning, friends in the house.
Yes, good morning.
This is Onitsha from Ebuka.
Yes, go on.
I want to talk about the erosion in Anambra State. The flood in Anambra State, in a particular area. The one that happened what happened at Newi and Ogidi may be a child play. And what may happen at Obokoboduku Road if care was not taken. The contractor that do the road, when they broke the bridge or the culvert that lead to streets, the floor of that bridge was falling into the gutter, inside the gutter, big ones that no hand can raise it out unless with an engine, and it has been blocking the water flowing from that Sakamori. And you know that Sakamori is open drainage all the way from Army Barrack, that it carries all dirty from that area down to Okuku and down to Demiri. So that flow of that covered and the gutter do not allow the water to flow freely. What if you are at Oboduku Road on that Tuesday? What happened there? Every place is standstill. The volume of flood running through there, even it can carry any trailer. So when we are allowing our governor, please let him do something about it. If he can send the investigators, let them go and investigate whether it is true that the debris of that culvert is in that gutter, so to avert a sad consequence that will happen in the future. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you for that very report. Quite a good one. So we have to go to our Facebook page. Let's get to see what is happening there.
All right. Our handle is Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Master Okbe SJP. He says, which parameter world? I think he means to say which parameter did World Bank use to publish a report from Nigeria, naming Nigeria among the poorest people in the world. Over years, no population in Nigeria. I think your message is not complete, but you are texting from Onitsha. Clement Odife says, my concern is the freedom of Nnamdi Kanu. Ugochukwu Frank said it's going to be an unending one since it's been 2009 to date. It's not about propaganda. It is real and evident. Systematic Christian genocide has been going on in Nigeria. Christian-dominated communities within northern region and the west are mostly targeted. They suppress the media. The intensity of Christian massacre in Nigeria is underreported and it is deliberate. Maole Bara says that poverty is a serious disease and it's a silent killer in this country. What we get is poverty acceleration and not elevation. It is sad that majority of Nigerians are living beyond or below poverty level in a country that is blessed with both human and natural resources. The rise in poverty is a consequence of corruption or corrupt leaders that deny people access to basic infrastructure. Instead of government to be proactive In implementing programs that would ameliorate the sufferings of the people, it devotes more time in impoverishing them with bad policies. Let government create an enabling environment for businesses to thrive. Let there be a paradigm shift so that lives of ordinary Nigerians will change for the better. Ugochukwu Frank says that the judiciary must show consistency and fairness and not selection in enforcement. If Mahmoud truly disobeyed a court order, the law should take its course. At the same time, courts must avoid being used as tools for political vendetta. Justice must be firm and impartial, not partisan. Mbeki Obi says he wants to talk about U.S. Senator and bills against Nigerian government. The United States should go on with any efforts to protect Christians in Nigeria. And Michael, we see you. Onuchiku Emmanuel, good morning. Warrior Chikwadorum says that on the issue of Christianity in Nigeria, he's in support of the American senator for the bill he raised. And he thinks it is high time the federal government should critically look into it because it has caused more harm than good in the country. Eke Ghana's Madueke says that Peter Mba should watch his back before defecting to the APC to avoid shooting himself on the foot. By himself, Enugu State is PDP from time immemorial, unless he doesn't want to succeed in this bid to get a second term. He also went on to say that the resignation of Naji from his federal appointment was a case of trying to avoid shame, and not the way he said it. Interesting. Those are the comments we have on our Facebook.
Okay, quite interesting. So we have to begin to wrap up, but before then, let's quickly dash to that very story, which came from the World Bank, where he said that a good number of Nigerians are, 139 million Nigerians are living in poverty, and he's saying that government of Nigeria is or rather has undertaken some reforms, and those reforms have been able to bring some kind of stability, but Nigerians are not beginning to feel anything. And what Mark is saying, government of the day needs to do something for people to be able to connect to these reform they are talking about. And the presidency has reacted, saying that the methodology employed by World Bank is questionable. Certainly,
I think we have explained this. The same methodology World Bank is using for Nigeria, that's exactly what they have used for other countries. And what they are saying is, if you are spending below $2.15, you are living in poverty across line, even in Bangladesh, in Syria, in war-torn Sudan. That's what I've used. And they applied the same measure in Nigeria, and they said 139 million people don't spend up to $2.15. And if you use our current exchange rate to measure this, how much are we talking about if we talk about $2.15? It's important that we just understand it in the local currency. If you use 1,500 naira as the exchange rate, you measure it by $2.15. That's 3,225 naira. That many Nigerians don't spend or don't consume that amount of money. And for them, they are looking at it from the angle of purchasing power parity, where they look at the cost of products, divide by the local currency, divided by the foreign currency, you get it adjusted by PPP. So the point I'm trying to make is that according to the Nigerian government, they said it's hypothetical. You are using a model to apply to this country, but you do not also have it on your own records that there are many Nigerians that are doing farming. They may trade on something without being recorded. There are so many of them that spend that you did not capture all their spendings. That there are many families that have garden. There are many families that have quite a lot of things they do. They cultivate cassava, they cultivate maize, they cultivate this, they cultivate that, and they spend those things without these things being recorded.
Now, and
that's what I'm saying.
If we put those things in monetary terms, how many of Nigerians live above, let's say, 90,000 naira as their income in a month?
But I'm saying that in 90,000, or that amount in view, being our minimum wage is 70,000. And then if you look at $64, that World Bank is saying, if you do not spend up to $64 in a month, if you calculate it, is important. I think it's important I run this so that people will understand. That is saying if you do just simple mathematics, 2.15, if you multiply it by 30, that's 64.5. So the point is,
because the thing is that what government of today doesn't understand is this, that somebody who was earning 150,000 naira 3 years ago, if that person is earning 250,000 naira today, the person is poorer.
That is it. The point remains, the only thing I want to say, the trader money, market money, agri money, these things are not working. Let's be real. They are not impactful. How many people you are giving 25,000 to 8 million household? See, these things are not going to alleviate poverty. The most important thing is that you remove petroleum subsidy, which is more like the oxygen of many Nigerians, and what do you expect? That's the repercussion. You can go on and let them do their rebuttal, but the key thing remains that many Nigerians don't end up to that amount. They don't even spend up to that amount, and many of them are living in extreme
poverty. All right, so you have to leave. Let my people breathe.
All I have to say is that whoever is making that calculation is either a bad mathematician or is intentionally doing a bad calculation.
All right. We talked about the faction here in Anambra State. I learned that our friend in the words of Tony, the member representing Demley North State Constituency, Honorable Kingsley Demezue, has joined APGA from Labour Party. Church Abasago.
Church Abasago, they said if there is national party structure problem, Abi, until we root out all of those clauses, if your house is on fire, you do not walk away. You do what? You quench the fire.
All right. So thank you all for listening, hoping that Chisom is going to help us to get the water to quench the fire. But if you're looking for somebody who's going to
your
build
house
the
in
car,
the first place.
all right. All right. Thank you all for listening. My name is Franklin and Chisom. Good morning.
Good morning.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
Why are we here today?